steer. The coroner found no signs of a scuffle and says Dahmer might have never seen his attacker.
His head was either, I don't always say pushed hard enough or slammed against something. But there was some force used to create the kind of injuries that he had.
Investigators continue to question a number of people as state correction officials now say there were 2 more inmates who were in the gym area near where Dahmer and another inmate were attacked.
It's an extensive and thorough job they're doing, and they're, of course, interviewing inmates who are volunteering information, as well as those they believe may have been in the area and possible witnesses.
1 inmate has been identified as a suspect, but authorities say there could have been others involved too. The district attorney here says charges won't be coming soon.
I would anticipate that the earliest that there would be charges, to answer your question as honestly as I can, would probably be next week. It could be longer. It depends on...
Now, authorities did find a bloody broom handle near Dahmer's body, but the sheriff here in Columbia County tells me he's still looking for that possible murder weapon and the attacker or attackers who left Dahmer bleeding from his ears, lying in his own pool of blood in his prison staff bathroom.
Tony, what about the panel of people brought in to examine the prison murder? Who are these people?
Well, the Department of Corrections is setting up that 5-member panel. They are going to be outsiders outside of the system brought in to look at this incident, specifically to probe exactly what happened, look at the prison management, and find out what, if anything, could have been done to prevent these attacks here at the prison.
All right, thank you. Tony Thomas reporting live from Columbia County. Thanks, Tony.
The prisoner injured in yesterday's attack at the prison is still listed in critical condition. Like Dahmer, Jesse Anderson sustained multiple head injuries in the incident. Hospital officials yesterday reported Anderson drifted in and out of consciousness. The Milwaukee man is serving a life sentence for murdering his wife in 1992. The man accused of killing Dahmer and injuring Jesse Anderson is in prison for first-degree intentional homicide.
Christopher Scarver was convicted in the 1990 shooting death of Stephen Lohman. The murder took place at the Wisconsin Conservation Corps in Milwaukee, and some people believe that incident was racially motivated. Today, Jesse Anderson's attorney said yesterday's attack could be racially motivated because most of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims were a minority.
Anderson accused 2 black men of killing his wife and assaulting him. That pissed off a great deal of the black community. It polarized the white and black community.
Scarver's attorney says he personally doesn't think the attack was racially motivated. Once investigators are finished with Dahmer's body, it will be released to family members.
But Dahmer's divorced parents are at odds over who should get his remains. Our Andrea Novotny has been gathering information on that during the day today and is in our newsroom with more.
Well, Pam, the dispute is between Dahmer's father, Lionel Dahmer, who lives in Ohio, and his mother, Joyce Flint, who resides in California. Now, each wants to claim their son's remains.
About a year ago, Jeffrey Dahmer spelled out in a will what should happen when he dies. He asked to be cremated and did not want a funeral. Dahmer's parents are not disputing that, but they are debating who gets the ashes when it's over. Dahmer's civil attorney hopes to avoid going into court on the issue.
I don't know how it will be resolved. My guess is the court would equitably resolve it by splitting the ashes. I think that's about all a court could do.
A minister who befriended Dahmer while he was incarcerated says the serial killer indicated he would like to donate his brain to science. But Eisenberg says Dahmer's will supersedes anything he may have said. Dahmer's death also brings to a close several civil actions. Eisenberg says the way is now clear for a judge to release Dahmer's personal belongings to the victims' families. They want to auction off the items, expected to bring in only about $100,000.
The news had reported that he was opposed to this. When I asked him, he said, no, that wasn't the case. If they can use it, good, let them use it. He felt very sorry for them.
Once you split that up amongst the lawyers, and that's not me, the lawyer, that's the civil plaintiff's lawyer, and the auctioneer and the expenses, and then you split it 10 ways between the families. I think you're talking $3,000 or $4,000 a family.
Now, Eisenberg adds that it would have been much easier if Dahmer would have indicated in his will where the ashes would go once he was cremated.
Andrew, when is it likely Dahmer's body will be released?
Well, Eisenberg is guessing that would be like in the next 2 or 3 days after the investigation is complete into using the body for that. and the body would then go to a funeral home, probably one here in Madison, Eisenberger believes, and that is where the cremation would be done.
There had been talk of donating his brain to science to be studied. That has not been something that will be considered then.
Well, nobody has evidently brought any kind of action to try to get that done legally. Until anybody would do that, it would go ahead with the will, as Dahmer had indicated, and that means he would be cremated.
All right. Andrea Novotny reporting. Thank you, Andrea.
Well, an abnormal mammogram can be a frightening experience, especially if it turns out to be cancer.
Up next, Wisconsin's First Lady finds out firsthand what that's like.
Eisenberger.
Well, no with heat wave, but the sun will be back and a little warmer for the next few days. I'll tell you all about it in just a few minutes.
The Oshkosh man suspected of murdering at least 3 females and committing other crimes has waived his right to a preliminary hearing.
David Spanbauer is charged with killing 21-year-old Trudy Jeske in Appleton last July. Spanbauer is also charged with the abduction and murder of 12-year-old Cora Jones. Authorities say Spanbauer has confessed to the abduction and murder of Ronell Eichstead of Ripon in 1992, but no charges have been filed yet in that case. Dane County investigators say the man arrested in a Monona rape may also be the man they're looking for. 36-year-old Orny Metz is facing 2 counts of first-degree sexual assault in connection with a rape last month in Monona. Monona police say he broke into a woman's apartment and raped her at knife point. Metz is also a suspect in a second Monona rape, and now Dane County Sheriff's officials are investigating him in a town of Burke sexual assault. Sheriff's investigators say the cases are similar enough to consider Metz a suspect.
Governor Thompson's wife, Sue Ann, is recovering tonight after surgery to remove a cancerous breast tumor. Mrs. Thompson is in good condition at UW Hospital. The tumor was discovered about 3 weeks ago when she had a routine mammogram. Doctors at the UW say early detection through regular exams and mammograms finds small tumors and means treatment can be successful.
You can find cancer before it becomes clinically apparent, meaning before you can detect it as a lump on a breast examination. That's an earlier cancer. It's going to be easier to treat. It's going to have a higher success rate, meaning that less chance the person is going to have that disease develop at some other place in the body.
When mammograms do show an abnormality, Stitt says about 80% of the time the lump is benign. She says recent reports have shown conflicting evidence about when women should start having mammograms, at what age, and how frequently, but she advises women 50 and over to have one annually. Mrs. Thompson will now undergo 6 weeks of radiation therapy and will recuperate at the governor's mansion.
Just when you thought you could pull out the long underwear, it warms up again.
Isn't that the way it is? But can it last? Elmer will tell us what to expect when we come back.
And still ahead in sports, we'll talk to the new Badger women's basketball coach about tonight's home opener. Stay with us.
Warm it up again.
Yeah,
so.
Well, we've had 3/10 of an inch of snow.
So we've had a little.
We've had the snow. Now, we might as well go back to spring, I suppose.
I guess so.
By the way, I want to say hi to a bunch of 4th graders down at Mount Horeb today. Had 2 classes up and down there. Had a real good time.
You went to visit.
Went to visit, yes, and they all promised to watch tonight, so there they are. All right, okay,
Don't mess
all
up.
Mount Horeb. We had only 32 for the high today, so temperature really didn't vary a whole lot, and we're back to 29 now. Looks like we will be colder tonight, though, because the cloud cover will break up some. West wind only 7, which gives us a wind chill of about 21. Humidity at 69%, and the barometer rising now back over 30 inches at 30.09. Afternoon readings showed that we were in the low 30s here in the southern part of the state, but look up north. Even Eau Claire with only 24 this afternoon, Rice Lake 26. So you can see that it was very cold through the northern sections this afternoon, and they had some breaks in the clouds. As you can see from the satellite picture, there is a big area down through the central part of the country that is clear. Our clouds are sort of the thin variety compared to these along the east coast and those in the west. Now, this is a new storm starting in the west. We'll watch the progress of that one for the next few days, but right now, most of the activities along the southeastern part of the country where these clouds are bringing rain down there. We'll put the map over that and you can see what's happening. The low over the Gulf is pumping a lot of moisture up again from the Gulf into the southern states as well as into northern Florida, and that's going to be moving up the east coast. We have a little snow reported back down in Iowa, but that's an isolated case, and then that new storm on the west coast is starting to bring some snow into that area, but dry, warmer weather down through here and quieter today compared to what we've been having. You know, yesterday we had those 40-mile-an-hour winds. Today, less than 15. Made it feel a lot better out there. Look at the warm-up. This is what we were talking about, the warm-up. Look back through the plains. They had the wind coming off of the Rockies today, and that Chinook wind really warms up as it goes down those mountains. So they were in the 50s back through the plains. We, of course, stayed in the 30s, but it looks like this warmer weather will start moving our way. So warmer through the plains tomorrow. That warm air will start moving in on us tomorrow, but I think it'll probably be about Thursday before we really feel that much warm air. Let's check our forecast for tonight. Partly cloudy skies. Not much going on. Overnight low should drop to about 20 degrees. Winds will be generally from the west about 5 to 10. Then tomorrow, tonight, there we got that in there twice. I have somewhere, I don't know where tomorrow night is. Oh, we're already tomorrow night. Tomorrow night's low about 30 degrees. I think I lost tomorrow someplace, but actually tomorrow we should be up to about 39. And then tomorrow night down to 30. And it looks like we should be dry heading into the weekend, but maybe by Saturday, a little chance for some rain. And it does look like rain rather than snow, but we should be in the 40s Thursday and Friday. But speaking of snow, we're in the final stages now of our contest. Guess the total snowfall we will have up through December the 10th. But you must have your entry in by this Saturday, which is the 3rd. And if you're the closest without going over, you'll win the Aaron Snowblower or the weekend getaway at the Oshkosh Hilton Inn. You put your name and address and your guess on a postcard and send it to the Anderson Thomas Company, 2100 Winnebago Street in Madison, 53704. And so far, we've had 3/10 of an inch.
All right, so those who guessed 0 are now in big trouble.
Well, actually, if no one guesses the right one and they're not going over, they could.
Oh, well, I suppose so. 0 would not be going over, would it?
No, it wouldn't.
It's like the Price is Right, isn't it? Come on down.
Thanks, Elmer. Well, a big game for the red and white tonight. Craig will have a preview coming up in sports.
And up next, area schools are going through some growing pains. In tonight's Honor Roll segment, Waunakee and Madison school officials are making out their Christmas lists a bit early this year.
The Waunakee School District needs room to grow. Waunakee's average annual growth rate is between 5% and 7%. Tonight, the school board will decide what to do about overcrowding.
You could plug in 30 students per classroom, but it would not provide for a quality education. And the reason many people move to Waunakee is because of the quality of life here, including the excellent school system.
One of their options is to build a new elementary school for early childhood through 4th grade. The other alternative is to build an intermediate school for either 5th and 6th grades or 7th and 8th grades. Whatever the board decides will be put to a spring referendum. The options range from cost to $6 to $10 million.
Madison schools are hoping for a February referendum that would provide $25 million. West High School is looking for $3 million to renovate their school auditorium. And La Follette High School wants $4 million for a new outdoor athletic facility. The rest of the money would go toward upgrading technology and other remodeling and maintenance projects. There are 2 public hearings scheduled. The first is tonight at Sherman Middle School. The second is tomorrow night at Crestwood Elementary. Both hearings are scheduled for 7:15, with technology demonstrations beginning at 6:30. Plenty of Badger basketball on the schedule for this week.
Craig starts it all out by talking live with the new women's basketball coach when sports is next. Plenty of basketball on tap this week.
Which is fine with me. It's hoop time. We've been waiting for this for a long time, haven't we?
That's right. We got men's basketball to talk about and women's basketball as well. But we'll start with the guys first here, go out of order as per usual in etiquette. The basketball Badgers don't like to say it's a rivalry, but it will be a special game tomorrow when Wisconsin plays host to UW Green Bay. Special as in special preparation. The Phoenix style of play led by their defense presents problems for a team like the Badgers. GB has a patient offense, but their pesky defense has put them on the map.
Sort of like getting your teeth pulled on Saturday because, it's you go in there and you have to play 35 seconds of defense every single possession, and they just try and wear you down. They keep the game in a low-scoring situation. So they're in it at the end every time, no matter how good they play. So it's really tough to play them, and, like I said, we don't like to play them because it's going to be a good game.
The Phoenix lost in overtime last night at Idaho State. Tomorrow night's game can be seen live here on Channel 15 beginning at 7 o'clock. On the Pearl Hardwood tonight, the Bucks thought they may be catching a break against the Phoenix Suns without Charles Barkley, but it's likely he'll play Milwaukee tonight despite having a pulled abdominal muscle. Suspended Badger running back Brent Moss will not play in the East-West College Football All-Star Game. His invitation has been rescinded because of his drug conviction. Moss is the first player to have his invitation rescinded. because of drugs. Now that Madison native Rick Neuheisel has been named the new head coach of Colorado, Heisman hopeful Rashawn Salam says he's 90% sure he'll stick around for his senior season. Salam led the nation in rushing this season as a junior, becoming only the fourth back to crack the 2,000-yard mark. Well, as we mentioned in a moment, we will be talking with Coach Jane Albright-Dieterle. Stick around. It's Badger women's basketball on the way. Later tonight, Badger ball debuts at the UW Fieldhouse. The women's basketball team playing the home opener tonight. Joining me live from the barn is Badgers' new head coach, Jane Albright-Dieterle. Coach, your team is off to a great start at 2-0 with victories out west over the weekend. Of course, does that help take away the nerves of a home opener for you?
I think so, and certainly you just love to play at home anytime, but after we've been successful in those 2 road games, it's very, very fun to come back here.
You're playing Western Illinois tonight. You also came from that same conference last season. Helpful for you in preparations tonight as well?
Very much so. We had 2 good game tapes from last year to watch, and pretty much think I know their system. They've got a couple of new kids, but I don't think we'll have any trouble with knowing what they're doing.
You've got plenty of seats at the Fieldhouse to fill up as you enter your career here. Are you hopeful fan support can make the barn as intimidating for your team as it does for the men's, Jane?
Definitely, that's what our goal is, and we hope that that's what tonight's all about, is just establishing a home court here, and really the 6th player in that is the fan. So, you know, we've got to have you come out and pack it in, and we got some great teams coming here later in the year, and we need you very, very badly.
Were you pleased overall with the performance by your new players in your first 2 games out west over the weekend?
Oh, very, very much so. I thought they had a lot of heart and soul, and thought they stuck to our game plan and executed very well, and really beat a very good team in the championship.
All right, Coach A, thanks very much for joining us. Best of luck to you this season.
Thank you.
Okay. There you go. Western Illinois and the women's basketball team squaring off at the Fieldhouse tonight in the opener. Should be a great season. They're off to a great start, no doubt.
Isn't she from Kentucky? Is it Kentucky or North Carolina, one of the two?
The Carolinas, yeah.
Well, she's got some basketball in her blood.
Yeah, she sure does.
You can tell she's talked a few basketball games.
She knows her hoops.
Indeed. Well, saving for retirement is, of course, something we should all do.
But how do you start? Well, many young couples are just starting to plan a family. It's also a good time to start planning for the golden years. Just how much money do you need to tuck away? Tony Thomas has the numbers tonight as we continue to help you check your figures, and you do need a lot.
I noticed last night, he didn't get to my category on that scale that he started.
Oh.
Maybe he'll get up to my age tonight.
Well,
just hitting your stride.
Tell me how much we need.
It is frightening.
He did. Well, I tell you, that's for sure. Well, the weather is improving. We had our little bit of snow. Looks like it's going to be gone now. Overnight should be a great night to be out. It's going to be a little cool, but the wind's not going to be very strong, so down to about 20, but won't feel as bad as those nights we had the strong wind.
Made a big difference today, didn't it? Felt better.
Yes, it did. Thank you, Oliver, and we'll be back tonight at 10 o'clock.
We'll see you then.
All right. Have a good night.